being told that, oh, you can just, read like smut for fun, and even if you're Christian, and it doesn't matter. It's just, there have been a lot of times where I've sort of wanted to give up, and I've thought, oh, everyone else is doing so much better than me, and I'm just like, they're all serious and professional, and I don't even know what I'm doing. And
But like, what do you see is the benefit of a young girl reading a clean romance story or a Christian romance story instead of like the recommendation page of Wattpad?
I'd like to see my books sold at Walmart, because I feel like once your books are sold at grocery stores where people don't go to buy books, that's the actual, like, you've actually made it.
Alright, so our first question. One, do you have a favorite Christian author or like book that ever inspired you?
I have to say it would be Rosanna M. White. I remember in 2013 or so, she had this book that came out. She's a Christian historical romance author. I think most of her books are, yeah, they're historical. So I read her book, The Lost Heiress, and it was about this girl named Brooke who discovers that she's actually the daughter of I think she's the daughter of a countess, no, or baroness or something. So this whole time she thought she was an orphan, and the only thing she's ever owned is this pearl necklace that was given to her from her mom, but she doesn't know who her parents are. And she discovers like her parentage, but then she also discovers the necklace she has is actually not a pearl necklace. Inside are two very rare like rubies or something like that. Yeah, so then the book goes on and she falls in love with her childhood friend Justin, and other things happen, and there's like a suspense mystery plot where she gets kidnapped and other things. It's just, it was a really good book, and it was also my first time ever reading Christian romance or any Christian fiction. And I never knew Christian fiction was a thing. And from then on, that was sort of, that's how I found out what Christian fiction was, and I knew that I wanted to write it.
Oh, so do you like Christian historical romance?
I do. I used to read a lot more of it than I do now. I think these days I read more like contemporary rom-coms, but I still love Christian historical romance so much.
Have you ever written like any?
Kind of. I think you know me on Wattpad, so Dear Future Husband, that would be my Christian
Mm-hmm.
historical romance. One day I would like to write more in that genre, but I don't know when.
And like, how was your experience writing Dear Future Husband? I know that it became pretty popular on Wattpad.
Yeah, I think when I started, I'm not sure. I think I just saw these ideas of women like writing, oh, I want to write to my future husband. And then I thought, what if you put that in a historical
Mm-hmm.
setting? And then there was all this mystery to it. And then when I first started writing it, I wasn't like super serious. I didn't really have a plan or anything. So if you read it in the early days, you would know, like one time I wrote her mom's name was Eliza, and then another time I changed it to Greta. And then people were like, wait, wasn't her mom's name this? No, it was a really fun book to write. I thought it would be fun to write her praying for her future husband who she doesn't know. And then you get his point of view and you sort of see how her prayers, even though she doesn't know him right now, her prayers like affect him. Like God hears her prayers and then he works in his life. Because I always thought that was a cool idea. You know? Like you're praying for someone, you don't even know them, and then God still uses your prayer and sorry, go on.
No, it's okay. And like, what inspired you to like write more Christian stories?
Um, I think it was because Wattpad at that time, I think where I started, it was mostly just, it was a lot of secular stories, the billionaire, arranged marriage, mafia boss stole my whatever, bad boy, this, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, literally the recommendation.
Yeah. Like you go into Wattpad these days, and the first thing you get recommended is their Oh, paid story, the mafia boss and me or whatever. Forced into marriage with the cruel, heartless CEO.
Oh my God.
And I just thought, what if I could take that and then just make it Christian? And that's how the CEO and the Christian girl came about.
Wow. You know, your stories have really inspired a lot of people, especially me. Like just seeing the way that you like pop out new books, new books, new books. Like it's my dream to be an author. And like seeing you make that change and like pursuing your goal to become an author so wholeheartedly, so inspiring to see, you know?
That really means a lot to me. Because I think when I was on Wattpad, I would have new ideas and then I wouldn't finish my old ideas and then I'd never come back to my old ideas. So I have a lot of books on there still that are half finished. And there have been a lot of times where I've sort of wanted to give up and I've thought, oh, everyone else is doing so much better than me and I'm just like they're all serious and professional and I don't even know what I'm doing and but thank you for saying that because I feel like God really I think he's called me to writing and I don't think he wants me to give it up yet. Maybe one day.
No, and I think that compassion can come at all of us, honestly. Like you have published such wonderful like novels, and I'm still trying to write and finish my own. And like when I see you like complete and like marketing your book and working so hard, it pushes me to be like, okay, so I can also still do this. So
You
like
can,
definitely.
for sure.
Mm,
Like,
thank
I
you.
don't know. It surprises me when people like say that they think I don't know, working really hard or doing a lot of stuff or something because I always feel like I'm falling behind or there's something I could be doing more, you know? But I guess we all feel that way then.
Hmm. Definitely same. I've also felt myself um feel that way so many times and like I could be writing more. I could actually be making this, doing this more. And you get frustrated at yourself and you're writing because you don't see how great or wonderful it is. You see all the work that it needs. So I can definitely relate to you with that. And have you is it always been your dream to be an author? Like as your main career?
Yeah, I don't know if there's ever been a time. I think since I knew what books were and since I started reading them, I was like, oh, I want to do that, you know?
Hmm. And how did you develop your writing style?
Probably reading. I think everyone says you need to read the style of book that you write just to know how people are doing it and how it's done. Probably reading. I read so many books I can't even, but yeah, probably reading a lot. I did take English in university, but that was less creative writing. It was more about writing essays on Shakespeare. Just still
And like,
valuable, just not not
mm-hmm.
the very applicable.
So it's like kindly, it's like writing the main job that you have.
Yes, it is my main
Wow.
thing that I do.
Wow. I hope one day to also be a full-time author actually. But I'm currently studying film.
You're studying film? That's so
Yeah.
cool. Are you gonna write screenplays or movies or?
Yeah, definitely. Like that's when my one of my main reasons why I wanted to study film.
Oh, it's amazing.
And can you share with us your testimony? So how did you come to Christ? Like how did he save you? Share us the full journey.
My parents took me to church ever since I was a kid, and me and my sisters, two older sisters. But yeah, we went to church, we went to the children's programs and they ask you if you believe and they ask you if you want to be saved. Like I think for me that happened when I was pretty young. And I always knew like about the Bible and I always knew that there was a God. I think But even when I was a kid, I would go to the children's programs and they'd read us the Bible stories, and I'd sort of think in the back of my mind, well, isn't this just like another story that someone's made up, and it could be like anyone saying it, and it wouldn't necessarily have to be the truth, you know?
Mm.
But as I got older and I had these doubts, and I think I just sort of went a year where I thought, well, I'm not really sure if God is real, but I would lie in my bed every night and I'd pray, like, God, if you're real, then why don't you do this or do that or something like that. And after about a year of that, I think nothing ever really happened, but I just decided I don't need God to, like, looking back now, I think I just decided that I didn't need God to, like, prove himself to me in this big, huge, dramatic way for me to believe that he was there for me to believe. And I think my faith grew over the years, and we would go to this summer camp every summer for the teenagers. It's called Summer Youth Celebration, which I always loved. Like, and that's probably where I really grew the most in faith because they really challenge you to actually read the Bible on your own and pray, and not just, at meals or when other people are around, but to do it on your own. And that's where I think I really learned about God and who he is, and I really learned about, like, how that actually applies to my life, because I feel like you can go to church and you can hear the Bible, but you're like, well, what does that have anything to do with me right now, in the 21st century? And like, they didn't have iPhones back then, so you know
Mhm.
what could they know, or something like that. But
Mm.
yeah, I think, oh, I've really started rambling like you said I would.
No, go on. I liked it.
Yeah, I think just over the years, it was never like one big, oh, now you're saved. Jesus, before I was in prison and I was an alcoholic, but now I've been saved and Jesus freed me from my chains, so to speak. It just became a part of my life, like the central guiding force or relationship with Jesus. That's what became, I guess, central to my life.
Wow. And how did you know that God called you into writing?
It's hard for me to say. I don't think there was, like, again, a single moment where a voice boomed down and said, Nicole, go forth and write. I'm sending you into Wattpad to write Christian books. Um, I think I've always loved to write, and I think God calls everyone to honor him with the gifts that he's given them, and not that my writing is, like, so amazing and perfect. I just think it's something I feel God's given me to do, and for his glory.
And what are some future writing plans that you have? Do you want to traditionally publish one day? Do you want to make a book into a movie one day?
Oh my gosh, that would be really cool, but I would also be scared of who would they cast as the actors if they don't match who I picture in my mind, you know? Like, what if they did the CEO and the Christian girl, but Alexander was all wrong, and then he's all like, "Did I watch this movie, right?" And then the characters look nothing like the book. I'm all, "What? Why did you do that? Did you even read the book?" Oh, I think I'd like to see my books sold at Walmart, because I feel like once your books are sold at grocery stores where people don't go to buy books, that's the actual, like, you've actually made it when people buy your books at the grocery store. I don't know if that will ever happen, but that would be a cool thing one day.
Mm, I pray it happen. Definitely. We don't
Thank
have
you.
Walmart in South Africa. We have. Eish, do we have? I don't know where. Okay, where would. What is a grocery store that would sell books?
Do you have books in your grocery stores, or are books more just at the bookstore or something?
I think they normally are at the bookstores only. which is horrible because I want to also experience.
You
Mm.
need to smuggle books into the grocery store and then
Yes.
leave them next to the produce,
Like in
and then
between,
you
like the
can,
cabbages.
yeah, yeah, and then you can say, you know what pairs well with this onion is this book, because the onion will make you cry, and then the book will make you
Yeah.
cry more.
Why is that a strategy? Like, I kind of feel like that needs to become a thing. Like authors adding their books in grocery stores and like you see it kind of
Yeah, yeah,
correlates.
yeah. I can see it. I think it
100%.
would work. Color code the covers to the color of the vegetables.
Yes. Definitely, definitely. Okay. Um what do you think is the importance of having Christian romances or clean romances? Because like some people might be like, oh, it's unnecessary, maybe we should just be praying 24 hours, burn the books, burn the TVs, focus on Jesus. But like what do you see is the benefit of a young girl reading a clean romance story or a Christian romance story instead of like the recommendation page of Wattpad?
Um, yeah, that's a really good question. To answer your burn the books, burn the TV, just pray 24/7. I would say even Jesus wasn't praying 24/7. He was telling parables, which are, kind of a story. So he wasn't just talking to people in I was about to say he wasn't talking to people in Bible passages, but technically everything he said was a Bible passage. But you know what I mean?
I know
He
what you
wasn't quoting the Torah or whatever else at them all the time. He was trying to take their everyday life and experiences and, make things that they could understand. I think that's what he was trying to do. I could be totally wrong. Any pastor can come at me after this. But, know, but I think it's important because what you're not just going to pray 24/7. Like obviously you should, be praying all the time. Like even if it's not always on your knees in the room, close the door, like cuz you have to eat and, sleep and go to work. But that's the thing, like we're every girl, you're still gonna most women will live life and get married and have kids, and I think you have to show them what it looks like to get married and date and meet men and how to actually think about romance and love in a healthy way and not just in like the way that the world tells us, which is so physical and yeah, physical and lustful and just based on like physical attraction and not anything moral or any values or anything like that, you know.
um, I completely, completely agree. And I can remember you wrote a book, right? I think it was Christian Thoughts or something like that. And
Yeah, I
you talked about this or briefly talked about
think
it.
I did.
And yeah, and I love how bold you were to like use your platform to talk about these things. Like you talked about the dangers of it is, and I want you to just briefly talk about it, like some of your thoughts and things like that. I think in this generation, we have gotten like we are hearing more and more lies and kind of turning away from how God originally created marriage to be and relationships to be. And I think that when we have these Christian stories that promote a good way of taking in relationships, not just a positive way, but a biblical way, I think it's more impactful. Can you just share some of those thoughts?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I actually forgot. I always forget the things I do. It's been years and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I did that. Wait, that was me." No. Um, yeah, I just remember I think I wrote one about dark romance and why that's bad because like you have all these women who like people say, "Oh, it's just fantasy. In real life, if a man, treated me like that or hit me or said those things to me, I would run away as fast as I could." But the things you read aren't just fantasy. They go into your mind, they go into your heart, out of a man's heart is guard your heart for everything you say and do, and your whole life comes from it. Like, it's not just a book and it's not just a story that you can close and put away and forget about, or that you just read to pass the time, but it has no effect on your everyday life and thinking. I think women are being told that, oh, you can just, read like smut for fun, and even if you're Christian, and it doesn't matter, it's just nothing, it's not porn, it's not, no one's getting hurt. But I think it's really damaging to read all these things because there are men out there who want to hurt you, who want to abuse you and take advantage of you. And when you read books about men who do that and they're perceived as the hero or as attractive, you're sort of priming yourself to accept that behavior and think it's okay, or even think that it's like desirable, or that good men are boring.
And like I even noticed with some of the kids, even at my church, like these are young girls, and they would describe these type of books and be like, "I want that exactly." And this is they started normalizing it. And honestly, I think the only reason why it's normalized is because these men are always like described as super attractive and they
Yeah,
only
they're
have eyes for
rich.
you.
Oh, they'll murder any guy who looks at you, you know?
And yeah, I think this is something that a lot of women actually crave and want, but it's put in a perverted way. And I know that in that book you talked about it, like those good characteristics of men, like bravery and being able to be there to protect you. It's kind of shown in a more perverted way. Do you what do you think of that?
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think deep down, every woman, or maybe almost every woman, I'm sure there's exceptions, but when you're with a man and you love him, you want him to make you feel safe. You want him to care about you. You want him to, protect you. If you're in a dangerous situation, you want him to say, "Oh, I'll handle it." Like, no man that you would find attractive would ever say, "Oh, there's gunfire. Quick, let me hide behind you." Like, you're not gonna find that man attractive. So I think, like, dark romance, you take that need for a man to protect you, and that desire for man to, like, not to say, "Oh, I own you and you're like my possession." You want a man to say, like, "You're my wife. I adore you. You're my beloved. Like, this is my woman, and I don't want other men to, date you or look at you, or maybe not look at you, but like, you know what I mean? Like, you want, like, your romantic partner to protect you and provide for you, and that's why all these dark romance men are like, they're so wealthy, and they put you in their mansion and they buy you and they give you their credit card and whatever. You want men who can protect and provide, but the dark romance takes it and goes, "Oh, so he kills everyone who looks at you wrong, and he locks you up in his house, and he does all these things," but they're controlling and they're twisted, and like you said, they're perverted forms of what women really want.
Mm. And I think that's the beauty of writing Christian romances, because we get to show them like the healthy biblical version. And like that desire is from God ultimately, because they're not bad things. But like the enemy will present to us things of that is completely unbiblical. So that to the kind of like a counterfeit of what God originally designed. And I think your stories and the different books that you have written will be such a inspiration to them, and like also help them to realize that, okay, I have this desire, but this is the way, that desire should come, not that other way. you know
Yeah, I love the way you said that it's a counterfeit to what Christianity and what God designed, because I think Yeah, I did read a book a while ago. It was a nonfiction book called Pulling Back the Shades. It was written by two Christian authors about 50 Shades of Grey and erotica and why women are reading those things. It was a really good book, actually. I really recommend it.
Well, I actually want to read it. Oh
Yeah, it's
my
really
gosh!
good.
Like,
I recommend it.
wow. Okay, that's wonderful. I also wanted to ask you, which book out of all the books that you have written was the hardest to write?
Probably The Artist and the Muse, because it was like basically the last book in the series, so I had to go back and read the whole series because I had forgotten everything that happened. And I was like, I don't want to do this again. I don't want to say, oh, her mom died in the first book and then in the fourth book she's alive, you know? I was worried about doing that. And then I've just, their book has been, I think a lot of people were looking forward to George and George's book for
Mm.
so long that I didn't want to let them down. And then I had all these plot lines and all these flashbacks where these things were mentioned or this thing was hinted at. And then I had to piece it all together and go, okay, so this happened in November 2017. Then this happened in March 2019. Okay, then we're here. And what's the year now? Oh, how old are they? What happened when?
And which book was the easiest? Okay, not the easiest. No book is easy. But which book was like the most enjoyable for you to write? Like you're like, okay, this is I'm in my zone. And so excited for this to get into the world.
Hmm. I was going to say every book except that one, but that's not true. I'd have to say maybe The CEO and the Christian Girl, because I think as I was writing that, it was so long ago, it was like 2017 or something. I think I wrote that book in like 4 months or something, which is at that stage, it was the fastest I'd ever written a book, because other books I would start and then I'd get bored and then I'd leave. That book was the fastest, and every chapter people were commenting, update, update, I want to know what happens next. And usually I'd be like, well, I don't know what happens next. I can't help you. But seriously, you're like, oh, what happens to this? And I'm like, I didn't think about that. Why are you?
I'm asking myself the same question.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. But this one, I sort of had an idea of how everything was going to go down. So as I was writing, it just flowed easily. And all the chapters are really short. So that probably helped.
How is your relationship? How do you think writing has impacted your relationship with God?
Hmm. I think not just writing books, but also I journal a lot. I'm a big journaler. I love like writing down my prayers to God. I think writing about characters who have a relationship with God really affects how I see my relationship with God, especially Katerina from the CEO and the Christian Girl. Every time I go back and I reread her character, I'm like, oh, I kind of want to be more like her, you know? Because I think she's so prayerful. She's always praying. She's always seeking God's guidance. And I sort of wrote her as like, oh, I kind of want to be like that, but I'm not there yet. And I think in some ways it kind of gives me something to look up to, and in other ways it reminds me that I'm not in charge of my own story, you know? God's the one writing. Because I can write all these books, but ultimately God's the author, you know, of everything.
So I'm assuming you're self-published. I could be wrong,
No, you're right.
but how is ooh,
You're
okay.
correct.
How has the publishing journey been for you?
Um, it's been a big learning curve because I think when I published my first book on Amazon, for the record, I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know what you were supposed to do. I didn't hire an editor, which was a big mistake. I didn't know what I was doing. I thought, oh, you just put a book out there and then people come read it, right? Wrong. That is not what happens. It is not like Wattpad.
Mhm.
People will not search whatever tags, whatever hashtags you're using and find your book. Yeah, I didn't know what I was doing, but I've learned a lot since then about editing and marketing and reviewers and covers, all that. And also, I do have another book that is with a publisher. Saving the Single Dad's Bookstore is my Christian romance that's with Harlequin.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Actually, I have it
Oh
in my
my
room. I can get it and show you. Hang on. It's
God.
just have like 50 of these. This one says Saving the Single Dad's Bookstore.
Wow.
And it came out in 2024, 2023, December 2023.
Wow. And how did you get published?
This one I saw on Twitter they were having this sort of not like a contest, but just where they're open to submissions and then they have a certain deadline where you could submit like this is my story idea, this is the first 3 chapters or so. I think it was the first chapter maybe. This is the first chapter and then they accepted me, so then after that you have to send them the whole book. So I basically wrote like 50,000 words. This is a pretty short book based on considered compared to the other books I write. 50,000 words, the whole book. You have to send it to them. I think I started in April and then you would hear back from them in September. So yeah, I just wrote that thing in like, what is that, 5 months. And then, no, I think you had to submit it by August and then you would hear back by October or something like that. I heard back from them on my birthday and then they're like, oh, yeah, we want to publish your book. Congratulations.
Wow. You know, that's something that just popped into my mind. If you had like some type of like YouTube account or something of like you like sharing write with me's or like writing updates about your book, I would completely follow you. That would that would motivate me
That is so
to get
sweet.
into writing.
But I hate being on camera. Like right now I'm avoiding looking at myself on camera. I like you know how you look in the mirror and you're like, "Oh, I look great." And then you look in the camera and you're like,
Mm.
"One of you is lying." Maybe I don't have like a good
Oh
camera
my
or
god.
the lighting or something, but I just don't know how to be on camera unless I'm like talking to an actual person, you know? Because then you're not thinking about yourself, you're thinking about the
Mm,
person. But I feel like YouTube, you're not looking at a person, you're looking at a camera. And that's different.
mm. I completely understand. Well, you just have an amazing personality, and I think you're such an inspiration of how you pursuing your career so much.
That is so
And
sweet.
you know, with your family
I really,
and your family, right? How have they been supporting your journey of writing?
they've all been, they've really been like, my dad is just a big, do what makes you happy as long as you're not selling drugs or, committing crimes. Really. And I appreciate that he's that way because I know a lot of Asian parents, like if you hear the stereotype, oh, you want your kids to be doctor or lawyer or engineer. My dad never really pushed me into that or an accountant or something. But no, they've been really supportive and
Mm. I can relate to you because my dad also been very supportive of me writing and pushing film. But you know, even in the African community, they say it's quite similar to the Asian one. It's like you're either a doctor, an engineer, or an accountant or something. You know, writing's always just a hobby.
yeah, for sure. I think it's hard to meet other Asians who actually want to, be authors. I do have a best friend who's actually in a film right now. She's filming a movie like you, kind of.
Wow. Maybe
Yeah,
we
we were
should interview
English
her next.
majors together. You should. She has a great. She's great on camera. She is. Instagram channel. YouTube. She does have a YouTube channel where she does shorts. She's doing choose your own adventure stories.
Hmm. I actually was thinking of starting a YouTube channel, and I'm the exact same way as you. So I consider myself an ambivert, but sometimes I do lean into the introvert side. And I don't know. It's when I think about that camera and my voice, and then I think about my face, and then I think about if I do. So I get what you
Yeah,
mean.
because I hate hearing my own voice, you know, when you hear your voice played back on. Oh, it's horrible. It's like, I
That's
sound like that.
that's my voice. That's what people are hearing.
Yeah.
And I feel like lately God's just been calling me outside my comfort zone, and I've been like, like even calling you, it took like before we called you, I was telling Cobus, right, the guy, um, I'm so nervous, I'm so nervous, I'm so nervous.
Oh, you're doing amazing.
Thank you, thank you so much. I think it's also because talking to you feels so nice. Like I feel definitely very connected to you. You know, we both authors, we both love writing, we both struggling with this camera thing.
So we need to start our own YouTube channel together.
Mm. um, okay. Um, do you? I already asked you what's your favorite Christian book. Do you have a Christian favorite Christian author?
Yeah, it would still be Rosanna M. White, I'd say. Her books are really good. But lately, I've really been enjoying Gabrielle Meyer. She has this series about people who live in two timelines at the same time, and it's a really cool historical read. I think the first one is When the Day Comes, because it's about this girl who lives in the American Revolution and another time period at the same time. And then when she turns 21, she has to choose which life she's going to live.
Oh my gosh, where'd you get these books?
I got it. It was an Amazon deal. I think it was free. It was
Mm,
free for, but I think they're in Kindle Unlimited. The first three books are in Kindle Unlimited.
definitely getting. Growing up, what was one of your biggest struggles? Like something that you had to learn to overcome or wrestle with?
Hmm. I feel like that's a lot of things that could apply. Um, Sort of going back to the dark romance thing, I would say when I was 12 or so, I started reading fan fiction. And then you know how fan fiction is kind of like Wattpad, where they don't always promote like the healthiest things or they're promoting smut. I fell into that for a really long time. I would read all these like fan fictions and they'd be like, obviously you're not supposed to read that when you're 12 years old, I think. And yeah, it was a really hard thing that's just sort of like trapped me for a long time. And I kept asking God, please take this away from me, but not yet, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, over the years, I think I've just sort of, God's really given me freedom from that.
Wow. Praise God. I also fall into that trap. It's definitely the enemy's work. And I think we such beautiful testimonies of like how God used us, like we were once a slave to that, and now we get to work the complete opposite and help other young ladies, read other things that are uplifting instead of those things, so they don't get as enslaved the way we were.
Yeah,
So that's so
especially
beautiful.
with your Flourish Ministries. I really appreciated that because you'd ask all these questions and I'd read the questions and I'd go, "Oh, I didn't think about that. That was really the Holy Spirit."
Praise God. Um, what is a scripture or Bible verse that has really anchored you in your life?
I think it would be John. It's either, I think it's 16:33, where Jesus says, "In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world."
And how has it motivated you?
I think it's just every time I'm worried about something, I just remind myself, like, hey, this world is temporary. Jesus has already overcome it. Like, when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, when eternity rolls around, are you really going to be looking back at this one thing and going, oh, that was such a huge, mistake or whatever?
Okay. That is so, ah, I love that verse as well because it's such a big encouragement. Because sometimes, our little world can feel like a lot and like, okay, this is overwhelming, this is too big for me. But like knowing that the same Christ, that overcame the world, we have him living in us, and through him, we get to overcome different challenges. It's so inspiring. Um, if you right now could like picture your future, right? 5 years, 10 years, whatever God's timing is. And there's no limits. You have achieved everything you've ever wanted. So like everything. There's no like, okay, what happens if this? No, no. Like God answered every single prayer. What would it be?
Honestly, I feel like I don't pray about my writing as much as I should. I think I pray a lot more about like family related things. So it would have to be something like, for all my family to be at peace with each other and love Jesus and each other. And yeah, I'd want to have like readers who love my books and who have me as their auto-buy author or something like that. But I feel like I worry a lot that if I pray for more, I won't be content. Like if I ask God to have more success or something, then God will say, well, you're not even doing enough with the current readers I gave you. You're not even happy with what I've given you so far, so why would I give you more reach or more readers or more readership or something? I don't know. That wasn't really that question, but that's just what came to my mind.
That's okay. I think I also used to ask myself the exact same thing. I'll be like, would I be telling God like I'm not happy enough? Like asking for more can also be scary because you don't want to get disappointed. Um, and then like
Yeah.
I can remember one time when I was praying, God gave me Ephesians 3:20, which says, "And I can do exceedingly and abundantly above all you can ask and think." But I know some translations say imagine, and I was like, okay, I don't want to be greedy though. So
Yeah, exactly.
you're like, you don't know, like God, I want a million leaders, I want to win this, I want to win an Oscar. Until um God reminded me that it's also about, it glorifies God when they at the top, like best-selling list, there's also people who fear him, who love him, who desire to impact the world in a positive way. And then I started changing my prayer of like, God, help me to love more people and write stories that can resonate and save more of your people. So I do believe that, as you also be having those type of prayers, that the hearts that need those books, the young girls, even the guys, God likes a good
The one
Christian
guy
rom-com.
reading the
That the one guy in the in the book
he's out
signing,
there. He's out there. Yeah.
we acknowledge him.
He's included.
Like if it if it's gonna make them not just happy but heal them, change their desire and their heart, then I think that it's worth having that type of desire and giving it to God and be like, God, I want you to use me even more to save and help bring more people to your kingdom, even through writing. So I believe God's going to use you for that. I mean, it really has, but He's going to increase that capacity in you, you know? It doesn't have to just be your family or like little people online. It can be you've reached South Africa and you've probably reached a bunch more people around the world. It can only continue going from there.
Wow. Thank you so much. I love the Ephesians 3:20 verse. I feel like I sort of overlook that and I just go, oh, yeah, sure, whatever, more than I can imagine. But I can't imagine that. But no, seriously, thank you so much. That was so encouraging, and I will be praying as you suggested for that.
Okay, it was so wonderful interviewing you. Is there anything else you'd like to mention?
Um, yeah, I have a book coming out in less than 1 month now. It's a clean romance called The Boyfriend List. It's about friends who become more than friends because she makes a list of everything she wants in a boyfriend, and then he reads it and goes, "Wait, I can do that."
I really like it's giving good go. Oh my gosh. That sounds like something that would be a nice comfort movie, you know? Oh, yes.
One day, one day.
Mm-hmm. Definitely one day. You never know. Maybe we might end up making the movie of it because we are Christian filmmakers, so you never know. But this time we'll ask you. We asked you for your advice, right? You choose the cast.
Yes, or else. You'll be the Christian filmmaker and you'll make them.
Thank you. Okay. Can we just end this call in prayer? So
Yeah,
I'll
yes.
be I'll I'll be playing and then you can also play whatever God puts on your heart. Father, we thank you for allowing this interview to take place. Thank you for leading Nicole to share everything that you wanted her to share. I pray, Heavenly Father, that this interview will reach all the hearts of the people that you wanted to reach. Let it be something inspiring, even if it's just one person who watches this video. I pray that, Lord, it will be something that will completely change their life, whether it will be inspiring them to even start writing, whether it be for them to start reading her books and to be inspired, or whether it will be changing their minds or their mindsets, whatever it is. I pray that, God, your purpose and your will be done. I pray that you bless Nicole. I pray that you give her more inspiration for even more books and more novels. Lord, may she continue to write stories that will impact the hearts of your people. Stories that by your grace, Lord, can even become movies and films, ones that can be in Walmart, ones that people can pick up and read. And that it might look like an ordinary book, but when they read it, they will see your hand all over everything. And I pray that you allow this to be a beautiful revival of the Christian romance industry, the clean romance industry, where people are going to get tired of reading the lustful things that the enemy is trying to put inside their hearts and mind. And they're going to find it so refreshing to read something that's full of beauty, love, and grace. Also pray that you continue to bless us even as we're working towards this interview. Guide us as we'll be editing it. Guide us of when we're going to be publishing it. I pray that everything will go well in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
Amen. Lord, I pray for Eddie. I pray that thank you so much that we were able to do this interview and that she was able to share such encouraging words, Lord. I thank you for the beautiful soul you've given her and all the beautiful words that she's used to encourage me and to encourage others towards you, Lord. I pray that you would bless her as she's studying film, that she would be able to make movies and write screenplays that move people towards you, and that even if they don't talk about you explicitly, that people would know that there's different about the film, that there's something of you in there. I pray that you would bless her in her writing and help her to finish her book and to write many more, Lord. I pray that she would just be able to keep blessing other women and encouraging them in their walk with you and encouraging them to love you and know you. I pray that this interview would bless others and would guide them towards you, Jesus. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.